Welcome to our very first episode of Open Mic with Sammy. Today we have a restaurant owner where he'll be telling us what it's like to have a restaurant. Is it risky? Is it profitable? All the pros and cons. He'll even be telling us how he started his first restaurant and it was doing horrible, yet he still continued. Hope you guys enjoy.
I think I always wanted to make more money. I always wanted to be rich.
How many restaurants do you
Now I own 5.
own? Was there a lot of success on the first one?
Hell no. It's funny because we look back and I shouldn't have 5 right now. I should be in bankruptcy right now, to be honest with you.
But I've never heard a restaurant owner say like it was easy. Never.
Or what kind of businesses you should or shouldn't start. And restaurants is always like either
Like
one
number
or two.
one, huh?
One or two. Don't ever start a restaurant business. Like you can know everything, you can do everything right, but a lot of times it's just at the right time at the right place.
Bobek,
Yo,
glad to have you, man.
yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, all that stuff.
For sure, yeah. I grew up in Fontana. I was born in Torrance, actually. So going back to 1986 when I was born. In Torrance, I lived in Palos Verdes, which is out in PV. People call it PV, out in the peninsula in LA. And then we eventually, my family, we moved out to Fontana. We had some, we experienced some like financial hardship. We ended up moving out to Fontana. And I basically grew up my whole life in Fontana. So Fontana is kind of like my home.
How did you guys end up from PV to Fontana?
Big difference, huh?
That's a huge difference.
Big difference, yeah.
Usually people get like, well, I'm gonna go maybe to South Central, Torrance, like like surrounding areas, But Fontana, that's crazy.
Imagine going to PV, going from Palos Verdes to Fontana, and now Fontana is big. For everything around Fontana, Rialto, even Rancho Cucamonga is huge. It's like the Irvine of the Inland Empire. But Fontana in 1991, there was nothing.
Winery, man.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
Foothill and Baseline were like a one-way street, or one lane each.
Yeah.
So
210 wasn't even built yet.
No. I remember they were building the 210. We're all excited about it. Yeah. So Fontana's home. Anytime I come back here, I'm in Costa Mesa now. But anytime I come out here to visit family and I see the mountains right there and the freeways and Ontario Mills, Victoria Gardens, I'm like, dude, this is home. But going back to your question, going to PV, come back over here. Fontana's home. I went to all the schools out here. And the reason we moved out here,
So you never went to school in PV?
preschool.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so no, but basically no. And then the reason there was a recession. I don't remember, but there was a recession in '91. It really affected. My dad was in the restaurant business his whole life, and still is. He's my partner up to today. And during that time, it was a combination of a recession, and there was a couple lease agreements that ended. They expired. And there's a combination of things that kind of just all happened at the same time. And my parents lost the house out in Palos Verdes.
Oh, wow.
And we ended up moving out here with my aunt. And we stayed with her for a good 9-10 months to get back on our feet.
What did your dad do over there in PV?
So he came over here from Iran. So he's Persian, he's Iranian. And he came out here with a student visa. And he got his degree in aerospace engineering, and then he ended up going to getting a master's in business. And his first venture was opening up a restaurant. So he opened a restaurant. It was doing really good. He partnered with a couple of his brothers, opened a few more, ended up having, I don't know, a few restaurants all over LA.
Oh,
Hawthorne, Torrance.
What kind of restaurants?
A lot of them were cafes.
Oh, okay.
So there were cafes. There was a couple of Persian restaurants that he had. A couple were in the mall. There was a few cafes and bowling alleys. I don't even know. Do they have cafes and bowling alleys anymore?
I don't even know. Oh, you know what? In Redlands they do.
They do, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a cafe, but I know that it's like this,
It's
like
probably different
restaurants.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like they have that alley. Look, Yeah, that style of restaurants.
And
Yeah.
there's a couple of restaurants, and the one in the bowling alley, that one, I think the owners of the bowling alley saw how well he was doing. So when the lease came up, instead of renewing the lease for him, they wanted to take over and just run it themselves. So just a combination of things that just all happened at the same time, and unfortunately we had to leave, and we came over to Fontana, and yeah, and just ended up. He ended up getting more restaurants out here, and that's kind of how we ended up out here.
So, what were some of the jobs that you had like before? You know, before you were a restaurant owner.
Yeah.
Before you were into all this business, into getting into the restaurant business, what were some of the jobs you had as like, a youngster?
Oh man, my first job was in Fontana. I was 18, I believe, because I got yeah, was it 18? I think I was 18. I think maybe right after I graduated high school, I got my first job at Toys R Us.
Toys R Us, bro, that doesn't even exist no more. That's crazy,
I know,
bro.
I know, I know. My mentality is like, if I work there, I might get discounts on video games and all this stuff. So I worked at
Oh
I
wow.
worked at Toys R Us, and yeah, so I worked there for a little bit. Um, Other jobs after that, I was a pizza delivery guy for many years for Pizza Hut. I was a delivery guy for Domino's.
You were
Um,
always hustling then, huh?
And then I did a lot of restaurants. I worked at
Wow.
Applebee's, Rainforest Cafe, Chili's, Claim Jumper. Um, uh, have you heard of On the Border? On the
Oh yeah,
Border?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
On the Border. So many restaurants. Um, yeah, and that's kind of when I started getting my experience with the customer service and just kind of like learning the trade of many things, I guess.
What was that drive?
I yeah, I mean, I think I always wanted to make more money. I always wanted to be rich, and I had this idea that it'd be easy. I always thought like maybe by the age of 30, like I'd kill it,
Retire?
yeah. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I've always wanted to try to do whatever I can to make the most money, and I also enjoyed like I was always like curious. I always wanted to learn. I always wanted to do things. So finding little things like that I could do and try to make money like in a different way, like always interested me.
Now, you're a restaurant owner.
Yeah.
How many restaurants do you
Now I own 5.
own? 5.
Yeah, I got
Wow.
5 right now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We
That's
just
crazy.
signed the lease for the 5th one a couple of weeks ago, and you're gonna be helping me out for the construction. So
Yeah,
I'm
man.
happy about that.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna come out nice, man. I think
Yeah,
it's gonna
yeah.
come out
You did the
nice.
last one. That one came out beautiful.
Oh
Thanks,
yeah,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah,
came
yeah.
out really
You
good.
guys did a great job on the
Yeah,
decorations, man.
yeah,
Great job on the whole design, everything.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks, brother.
so you have 5 restaurants. What made you get in? I mean, by what you're telling me, I think from all the experience that you had before, I'm guessing that's what kind of made you get into the restaurant business, or what made you get into the restaurant business? Was it your dad, or was it like all the restaurants you worked at? What was it?
I mean, I looking back, I'm sure my dad's experience and me being involved. I was always around the restaurant because of my dad, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I never thought I'd be in it. I remember my dad coming home super tired, and I just thought, man, that's not something I want to do. But it's kind of just happened. When we got the first one, I just sold my house. I had a property up in Victorville, and I just sold it. So I had a little bit of money, and so did my best friend Javier. So I told him, Javier, hey, you wanna? My dad was trying to open up a restaurant, and his partner bailed out. So I'm like, hey, maybe Javier, you want to both of us get in and try to do this with my dad, Rocky? And yeah, he said, yeah, let's do it. So we went all in on the first Brick Shack Pizza in Ontario, and yeah, that's kind of how it all started.
Now, um, was there a lot of success on the first one?
Hell no, no, it's horrible.
Dude, how that's crazy, bro. That's a very uh a very interesting mentality that the first one probably failed and you guys still continue.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh man, this it's funny because we look back and I shouldn't have five right now. I should be in bankruptcy right now, to be honest with you. And so check this out. We got Brick Shack Pizza Ontario in 2018, 2019. So 2018 I believe. We first couple of years, it's super tough. Any business you go to, especially restaurant, So we go into it and we get barely by the first 2 years. We're still trying to build our clientele. People are starting to know us. We changed the name and everything, so we're trying to build our name. And then 2020 happens and it's COVID. And we're like, oh man, we're already struggling. And we're like, this is it. Like like we put everything in it. We're working everything. I'm over there. I'm in the back every day, filled with flour, and I'm just tired every day, all day. Flour, pizza, rolling out the dough, toppings. Javier was working his job back then. He was a manager at Sprouts, and then he'll go in like from 5 in the morning to 3, and then drive out to Brick Shack and then run the cash register and everything. And and my dad too. My dad's in and out and trying to do everything, and that went on for a couple of years, and then COVID happened, and we're like, man, like we got to figure something out. And then we just try to adapt to COVID. And, they were talking about doing everything the outside dining.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, we had a patio luckily, and we just had it. We did it up to make it look nice. We put a couple of TVs that roll out there, and then that was cool. People started coming out, and luckily for 2020, I think we had this conversation in the past, but 2020 was a hidden gem because it helped us out a lot.
Really?
People were indoors, and a lot of them were ordering pizza. So our sales actually improved during COVID. So it helped us out. And then, the economy for all of the U.S. was kind of getting bad. It got bad for COVID. So they introduced the economic, what is it called? The EIDL?
Yeah.
The EIDL loan. So
That was helping out certain people, right? That was
Yeah.
but it was that was the same program I think or the same type of loan that a lot of people were taking advantage of.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, everyone could take advantage of it, but if you're a big corporation, I think the whole controversy around it was like, mom and pop shop like ours, we could get it. We'll get a few dimes because it was based on, I think, your sales or based on whatever.
Yeah.
But a corporation get the same loan, but they're able to get like millions of dollars in help. Or it was based on payroll, I believe. We don't have that much payroll.
Yeah, because I had a buddy of mine that told me that I don't know, he got loaned off I think he got a loan for $500,000 for 3%, 4% interest rate.
Yeah.
And then they didn't ask him for like what he was gonna do with it. So like as long as obviously he pays it back, and
Yeah.
I think he ended up buying a property and it was for his business.
Oh, you're talking about that way they took advantage of it. Yeah.
So I was like, what?
Yeah.
I never knew any of that stuff. I was like, that's crazy. I had like all these SBA loans, that people be applying to, and it's freaking crazy.
So there was two. There was a EIDL loan, economic injury development loan, something like that, and then there was the PPP loan. And
Yeah.
And that was
the main one, huh?
Was that, I forget between the two, but the PPP was just to try to keep people on payroll and make sure they're working and we're able to pay their paycheck. One of them, I believe, is the PPP. That one they wiped off. We don't have to pay back, so we got lucky.
Free money, pretty much. Huh?
So we got the PPP loan, we got the EIDL loan, and it kept us in business. Business actually got better, and we actually used that money. And this is like I'm part of the problem too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to think of that way, where we use that money to buy another business, and we opened up Brick Shack Pizza number 2. Wow. When in fact that should have been used for the business technically, but I mean everyone was doing that.
Now, was it doing pretty good though? Was your first did it stabilize your first restaurant?
Oh, it helped out. It helped out for sure. For
Yeah.
expenses, all of that. But
Is that what motivated you to, like, you know what? Now that this is like more stabilized, let's open up the second one.
yeah, yeah, that, and then plus the second one um, the second one was opened in a food hall. So it was like just completely different dynamic. Though our first one is a standalone, and then the second one it was going to be in a food hall, and we're like, that's a no-brainer. We're going to have like people walking around. We don't have to get people's attention or order from
Yeah.
us. We're going to be like right there. So
Would you say for someone that's trying to start a restaurant that they don't necessarily have to be profitable on the restaurant, like completely, to open up a second one?
they don't have to be profitable.
Yeah, because you know how you said that, like, yeah, we were just stabilizing, we were just probably keeping the doors open,
Mm-hmm.
but like, were you making a lot of money already on the first
No,
one?
no,
No,
not at all.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
would you say that, like, yeah, let's start a second one, even if we're not making money?
Yeah, I mean, it's a decision you got to make, and I think that's the same issue. I feel like whether you have one business or you have multiple, I feel there's always a decision to make and say, do we want to reinvest and be more in debt possibly to open up in the next one, or
Yeah.
do we want to just keep it as is and just be cool with what we have coming in right now?
Yeah, because you know, like, the logical thing in most people's minds would be that, as soon as this one gives me more money, I'm gonna, you know, use that money to open up a second one.
Yeah.
But that's very interesting that, I mean, you didn't see it that way, and you still opened up a second one. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we luckily we got the money from the government. So if we didn't have that, it wouldn't be possible.
Now, how did you learn, like, how to, like, run the business, like, get the equipment, like, how much, like, to charge for food, like, how did you learn the whole system? Like, did you learn it from, like, the restaurants in the past that you worked at? Did your pops teach it to you, or, like, how was it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a combination of a lot of things. Yeah, obviously my dad was in the restaurant industry for a long time. I got a lot of experience from a lot of the restaurants I worked at, especially Rainforest Cafe. I feel like that's where I learned a lot, especially like management skills. Even though I wasn't a manager there, just kind of observing others.
I think that's the best way, no? Like, I think in every business, I think trial and error is the best. Like, because someone can teach you so many things.
Tell you something.
Yeah, yeah. Someone can teach you, like, all these things, and tell you, hey, this is the way you do it. But sometimes you're stubborn, or sometimes you're a little foolish. You're like, no, I want to do it my way, and then you end up learning. Like, he was right.
Yeah.
I probably should have done it this way. I'm pretty sure it's hard, like, to run a restaurant, because they say the margins are very, very thin, and like, I've never heard anybody that has restaurants say it's an easy business. Like, I'll tell you this, I've heard of mechanics say, "Oh, easy money." They say.
Oh, really?
A lot of mechanics say it's easy money. I don't know why. I'm not trying to put a bad name for mechanics, but I like all the mechanic buddies that I have is like, "Oh man,
Really?
I make like $800 in a day, $1,200 in a day." Like, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But I've never heard a restaurant owner say, like, it was easy. Never. Like,
And it's funny because I'll like downtime I'll go through I'll scroll on Instagram and I'll see like videos about what kind of restaurants or what kind of businesses you should or shouldn't start. And restaurants is always like either
Like
one
number
or
one,
two,
huh?
one or two. Don't ever start a restaurant business. I'm like, God damn, that's right. You shouldn't.
I
It's
just looked that
stressful.
up not too long ago, and it was restaurant, and then the trucking right now.
Oh, trucking.
Yeah, right now trucking is doing. I don't know. A lot of people say it's doing bad.
But you know what, man? I could come across and you can listen to all these like business people like Gary V or I don't know, all these people that are on Instagram.
Grant Cardone.
Red Cardone, and they could talk like they know everything. But a big factor in a lot of success is just being lucky too. Like you can know everything, you can do everything right, but a lot of times it's just at the right time, at the right place. And like COVID.
Yeah.
COVID just happened, and it helped us out a lot. It gave us the loans, the loans that we got, it increased business. Like, it wasn't us, you know. So a lot of the times, it's like you can do a lot of course, you know, do your homework, learn it, but it's also like just being lucky too.
Now, how many employees do you have right now in all those in your 5 restaurants?
Right now we have 20, we have about 75.
75?
75
I
right
think
now.
that's where the margin goes, man.
Yeah, I know. And you know, yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm always like, you know, the whole discussion about like
Yeah.
or minimum wage, you know,
Hmm.
and right now for franchises they should be at minimum 20. You know, if you own like a franchise that if you own more than, I think it's like what 25, 50 units, you have to pay a minimum of $20. So all like McDonald's and all these big franchises, it's minimum 20. If you're not a big franchise, you're still able to do, I think it's 16.50 right now.
Yeah, I think so. I think
But even indirectly, it affects us. If people know they could leave us and go somewhere else and get 20. Um, so
What do you think about that?
so I mean, it's tough because on one side, I want to make sure I try to give whatever I can to my staff. You know, I want to take care of them. But at the same time, we're running a business, and we also got to be careful with cost. And it's just like unfortunate because you can't control everything else in their life. You can't control how much
They
my staff,
spend, yeah.
yeah, how much, but not only like
Yeah.
what they're voluntarily spending, like rent. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like they got rent is super high. It's
I,
no one's fault, but it is
yeah.
someone's fault, but it's not our fault.
Okay, what assurance does your boss have that you're gonna administrate that money good? You know, what assurance does your boss have that you're not gonna go gamble it all up? So like, let's say this guy's like, "Oh, I'm making 20. Hey, I want to make 25," and then you give him the 25, and then he's like, "Nah, I got more money to go gambling, to go to Las Vegas."
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you needed money for maybe rent in a
Rent.
better, a better, go live at a better place or something. I don't know, for more
Or
food,
save money, yeah.
save money or something,
Yeah,
So
I mean, I think that's, you know, everyone's personal choice. Like people can make the right decision or wrong
yeah,
decision, but I think that's just a separate thing that they have to kind of manage. My bigger problem is how are they mandating us to pay more, but everything is still, you know, the same as far as like increasing rent, increasing food prices, increasing. How about we take care of that? How about the
yeah,
corporate you know, the corporations, the CEOs of these big corporations making millions and millions, but not giving their people a better wage or a
yeah,
better salary?
yeah.
I feel like that's where it has to go. So
And how do you manage? How do you manage all 75 employees like that? Because those are a lot. So I'm guessing you have some kind of system. You have good managers. You have some trustworthy people. How is it that you manage all 75 employees?
I mean, I'm lucky. I'm super lucky and grateful to have such a great team, man.
Yeah.
My partners are. I mentioned my dad. I mentioned Javier. My other partners are Daniel, Ruben. We're all childhood friends. So
Wow.
you know,
There's a lot of trust
there's
there.
a lot of trust. There's a lot of history, and I think the reason that we've been friends for so long, and even during, you know, as partners, because you know, business sometimes could be like little disagreements. It's just like overall we have the same kind of mentality of how to treat people with respect, and I think that's if we have that same ideology together, then we're able to kind of manage the team in the same way.
I mean, aside from your dad, did you train them?
No,
No?
no. I think we all had a different background, and so like we all came together, and even though we have the same kind of ideas, our different backgrounds kind of just helped us form like our little unit. You know, we like
Yeah.
have an agreement of how we're going to manage the team.
Now,
So we kind of learn from each other.
out of all 5 restaurants, how much profit does your best restaurant make?
Oh, dude, cut the tape. Cut it.
Hey, no, man.
um,
We want to know
so
a
we have,
ballpark price, a ballpark number.
so I'm gonna tell you. So we have 5 restaurants. 2 of them are Brick Shack Pizzas. They're pizza shops, and then 3 of them, 2 of them are Haven House. The third one is gonna be a Haven House. We're gonna open up. Uh, Today is the day of filming is what is it? June 25th, 2025. We're opening the restaurant hopefully the end of 2025. Um, the best profitable restaurant would be one of the Haven houses. It would be the first one, actually. And the reason for that is much lower rent. Much lower rent.
Okay.
We're in a strip mall, so the rent's a lot lower. Um, the one it's located in Rancho Cucamonga, so it's in a good location because there's a lot of residential around there. We have it's a lot of repeat customers, a lot of people coming back. Um, so I guess let me get to the answering the question. So as
Yeah,
far
because I
as
see
like
you're trying to.
we let me get an idea. Right now we're doing about a little over 2 million in revenue a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So
Wow.
restaurants on average they're usually doing maybe like I don't know. I feel like you might get some comments about this, but I would say probably around 10% profit based on the revenue.
You know what's crazy? That, yeah, 10% profit. I think that's. I think you're a little over. I might be wrong, but over the margin. I think the average is. I think like even 8%, 7%.
Possibly, yeah.
But I mean, if everybody if people that have businesses out there, I think everybody needs to, like, when they go see, like, advice for numbers and stuff,
Yeah.
like they can't. I don't think people should go by based on numbers, because everybody charges different, everybody manages money different, and like in construction, there's contractors that are making 40 to 45%. Like, I'm like, wow. Yeah, I've seen some crazy numbers in construction where it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why. That's a lie. That guy, he says he makes that, or contractors make way more, or restaurant owners make way more, or make way less. I mean, everybody has their own.
Do you feel like the ones that are charging more for general contractors is because maybe they have a very established business and a big name now, and they're known for doing a good job, or it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah.
I think it has to do a lot with probably, um, obviously, experience, service, and quality have a lot to do with it. But then it just goes to the point to the. It goes to like, they want you to do it. They don't go search for other people, and
Oh, gotcha.
and they just like, I'll put this in perspective with the whole restaurant industry. That sometimes you go to a restaurant, and if you like it, you don't care sometimes, like, what it costs. You like, I want that. Like, I love Peruvian food, and there's a restaurant that I go to that, I mean, I always tell my wife, man, this is expensive, but I keep going there because I like it. I'm like, man, how are they charging this much for a plate? Like, that's ridiculous. But I keep going there.
Which one is it? Give a shout out.
It's
Who is it?
Miski in
Where's that?
in West. I think it's West Covina. It's like they have lomo saltado, ceviche mixto, very like it's
I've
very
never heard of
delicious.
it.
Yeah, it's really good, really good. Yeah, and there's a lot of good Peruvian restaurants out there, but I think that's like my main one that I like. And if we're talking about restaurants, bro, I have a whole list of where I like my steak, where I like ridiculous, dude. I
You
love
told
it.
me about the other one. You mentioned a few times about your descanso, right? The one.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty cool.
You told me
Yeah.
a couple times about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Mexican teppanyaki. They grill your food. It's like a Mexican Benihanas.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. So Back to so you would say that your best restaurant makes 10%, give or take, on a revenue that's around 2 mil.
No, no. I said on average, I think it's maybe closer to 8%, 10%. Rancho is closer to 15%, between 15 to 20%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the reason for that is we've had more time with that location to kind of like dial in and make sure we have our portion control, our team. We have an amazing team in Rancho in both locations,
Yeah.
all of them. But Rancho, they've we got the culture down over there,
Oh.
and I feel like that's the hardest part.
I thought I would assume that it was gonna be Temecula.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
'cause
too.
it was that's a hot that's a hot location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, that's crazy that Rancho's still on top. Now, what's the worst?
So let me tell you real quick. Let me tell you what I think Temecula is not, and the reason for those out listening, are my Temecula location. It's like prime location, right, Sammy?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
right in the
yeah.
corner, Old Town Temecula. And it does well. Like I'm not saying it doesn't do well. I'm just saying it's not number one. But the reason is rent is a lot higher. I mean, we have a amazing location, so you pay for what you get for.
Overhead is pretty high.
So yeah, overhead, rent, and also Temecula is that Old Town area gets a lot of tourists. They get a lot of people that come in
Yeah.
for the weekend and leave. So you don't get that same repeat customers in Rancho like we do in Rancho.
Oh, yeah.
People come in for the wineries, they do the wine tours, they stay in the hotels maybe, and they'll come and just visit once every few months, maybe when they come out. And there's a lot of options out there. Maybe next time they come out, they're not checking us out. Maybe they'll go to the next restaurant down the street. So a little bit different environment than
Yeah,
Rancho Cucamonga.
I think you're completely right because especially that area has a lot of restaurants, and a lot of good restaurants,
And they're
too.
opening more.
Yeah. So everybody, people that come by, like we already went to Haven House. It's good, it's delicious, but let's go try that one.
Right, yeah.
Since how you said it's a more tourist place, and how you said Rancho Cucamonga is more like of a residential area where people want to have their go-to. Probably every Friday they want to go there. Every Tuesday.
A lot of businesses, and then maybe during their lunch or after work they'll come.
Okay.
So yeah, those are in my opinion, I think those are the two.
Now, how much capital does someone need to start a restaurant?
A lot. Yeah, you're offering? Can I get a loan?
You're asking the wrong guy, man. I would need to get like around 10 million views to probably be your investor.
There you go. Capital. So it depends. There's things like you got to factor in. So are you building the restaurant from ground up? Are you building the whole thing up?
Let's
Or second generation?
oh yeah, that's actually all right. How much would it take for like you taking over a business a restaurant that went broke or just closed down, and you're gonna take over?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables. I can give you like a range. I think that's the best way to do it. Just
because I know ground up is like
it's gonna cost a lot.
Yeah, you're looking at 800,000
right.
a mil. Yeah.
And people do it, and they're successful. But if you're taking like over a second generation, or even like a white shell, like it's just white walls and you design it, that's more affordable. So you're looking at second generation. The restaurant was there. You just got to change things, make it look nice. You're looking at anywhere from, on the lower end, maybe 350,000, and the higher end maybe closer to maybe double that.
Now this includes 350 to you said 250 to 350 or like 350 to
350 to like, let's just say, for second generation, you don't have to do too much. 350 to like 600.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that includes like decorations, tables, appliances, everything.
Yeah. Let's just say everything, because there's a lot of there's a couple, like any business, there's a couple things that are very expensive. Like for restaurants, one of the most expensive things are like the hood ventilation system.
Yeah, yeah.
If health department comes in and says, hey, you need a brand new hood, you need to change it, you need a bigger one because all the equipment doesn't fit underneath your hood. Those hoods are, just the hood itself, it could be like $50,000 plus installing it, plus and I'm just talking about the hood. Now you need like the actual motor, and it gets expensive.
It's been kind of like, I don't know, I may be wrong with probably here in SoCal what I've seen, but it looks like that brunch cafe has been like trending like crazy.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to like just kind of being lucky too. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned, like luck being on your side. Like, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of brunch spots coming up, and people love them. I think it was like a trendy thing that kind of maybe started. I think maybe in LA, like going get your mimosas and hanging out with your friends, and there wasn't a lot out here, but now I feel like they're everywhere.
Everywhere,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I like one of the ones that I compared you to. Hope you don't get offensive. Was Broken Yoke,
Oh
but
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
It was like a lot of restaurants are like, I don't know if they started the whole trend or anything, but a lot of restaurants try to kind of copy their menu, their whole style. Some restaurants like completely keep it original. Like, no, this is has nothing to do with that. But I mean, yeah, it definitely cafes have been a lot more, have been trending. I would say the past 5 years.
No, man, my hat's off to Broken Yoke. There's another restaurant called Breakfast Republic. They started off in San Diego. Man, it's tough. It's tough to go from your local community to like us, Rancho Cucamonga, and then all of a sudden go to
Yeah,
Breakfast Republic and Broken Yoke. They're everywhere now.
Rodeo is also. I don't know if you heard of Rodeo, but
They're opening one across the street from me in Temecula.
oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah, because they have one here in Rancho too.
they have one in Rancho.
In
They have one,
Rialto, it's crazy.
yeah,
I'm like,
Norco, I believe. Yeah.
that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Now, how much capital? When you get the capital, like you just told us it was 350 all the way to it can vary to $600,000.
Yeah.
Now, what would you tell somebody that's trying to start a restaurant? Like, how do you think after you have 5 restaurants, what do you think is the best way to get that money? Is it investors? Is it loans? Is it your own cash? Selling your pad? Like, what is it?
So I'm trying to think of me when I was, 21, and I would think about this too. I'm like, how did that person do it? Like, do they have money? Were they rich when they're younger? How they get the money? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to go back in that time. So I think the easiest way is have you heard of? You know this. We've talked before, but wholesalers. Like there's wholesalers for residential
Yeah, yeah,
properties.
yeah.
Yeah. So they go around, they find the best deal, and they'll find like this amazing deal, 60% under market, right? And it's the same thing with a restaurant. If there's no website for it, but if you go and you know people and you go talk to people, go to restaurants, you see a restaurant that you always pass by, it's always slow, or you go to restaurants where it's like old people and they want to retire, you might get an amazing deal and you don't even know it. You might walk in there and not spend a dime. Forget the 350,000. Like you walk in there with maybe
100 grand, huh?
not even.
Wow.
Maybe just like you have $20,000 in the bank, or someone lets you borrow, or you get a loan for that much just to have capital to run the business, and they pretty much give it to you, or you pay them monthly payments. I feel like that's probably the best way. So if you are in a situation where it seems a little really tough to get anything close to 350, I would say that's probably the best way. Look for deals. And the way you do that is just networking, talking to people, going to restaurants, keeping an eye open for that place as it's always not busy, and maybe talking to the owners.
So you wouldn't get you wouldn't recommend people probably getting investors, probably getting a loan or anything like that.
If you get a loan, you're already kind of screwing yourself. you're paying back a monthly payment that you, like you mentioned earlier, your profit margin's already what, 8 to 10%, and you got to pay back that much on your loan. Like you're not gonna. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough. And
You,
I've gone through that.
you
You know.
listen to Dave Ramsey, huh?
Oh no, dude, this is like personal experience. No, man. Nah,
No.
like no, paying back that loan's gonna be tough. And I'm not against loans. So, like
Yeah.
loans can be helpful, but
Yeah.
when you're starting off, you want to try to not to have debt, or or if you do get a loan, have it structured where you don't pay it off right away. Say you got a loan from someone and say, give me a couple years and then we could start paying it back or something like that.
Yeah, I think when someone's starting off a business, I think any business, right? Um, it's always good to use your own money and start off small. Start off small. Don't go crazy. Don't go
Yeah.
with the best things, like with the best equipment. Just enough to get the job done, and then later on, if it succeeds, maybe you can upgrade on things.
Yeah.
But there's some people that really no. I need the best of the best right now because I know I'm gonna. That's I think that's a big mistake.
We went to the auction. We went to what's that where you look up deals on your phone? Not Craigslist, but OfferUp.
Offer up.
Go to
Oh, wow.
OfferUp. Go to auctions. Go to I don't know. Like
Wow.
why am I going to pay like 300% higher price if I could get the same thing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You can only pick one
Okay.
out of these three things.
All right.
Okay. I know a restaurant needs service, good location, and good food. And obviously good administration, all these things. But out of these three, if you had to pick one for your restaurant to survive, like which one would you pick that you think it can still run on? Service, location, or food?
Ooh. Okay. Do you have an idea?
I think I'm gonna tell you what I think.
Okay.
Food.
Food?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because you know what? Like I know I'm speaking personally.
Yeah.
There's some restaurants that I'm like, damn man, this waitress is terrible. She has an attitude, and the location is like in the ghetto. Like my car can get jacked, but this food is awesome.
Yeah.
This ceviche is fire.
Yeah, yeah.
The carne asada here is, man, they just gave me a ticket in the middle of downtown LA, but this steak was, I would say it's food.
Yeah.
I think people at the end of the day, they may maybe come for food. They come for food. There's some restaurants that I've seen that, as bad as it is, sometimes like food is still keeping them alive because that's what they got. Like I'll tell you a quick example. It would be I think sriracha. Sriracha, even though it's not a restaurant, but if they provide probably bad service and it goes up and like they start selling each bottle for like $20, $25, and then it's like terrible. I think people will still buy it because it's so good. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. Sriracha is good.
Yeah.
No, I think the sriracha analogy is a little bit like off because, like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
it's not a restaurant.
You're right, you're right.
But I couldn't disagree with you more on the food one, and I'll tell you why. If I had to list them in order, number one, is location. Number two, service, and number three, food. I know it sounds a little weird because the people go to the restaurant to eat good food.
Yeah.
I have a partner. I mentioned him earlier. His name is Danny. Danny leads our hospitality program. So we have a program that's constantly getting revised. But one of the reasons why Rancho Cucamonga Haven House does so well is we have the hospitality program in there, and we have a complete buy-in from all of our staff who do such an amazing job. From the minute you walk in to the minute you leave, everyone's smiling, everyone's greeting you. No one's just kind of leaving you For the most part, I know that you might go in like my review and say, "Hey, someone had a bad experience." Yeah, there's gonna be times, but we do our best to try to
Yeah.
follow this hospitality agreement. But the point is, let's say they have an amazing experience when you walk in. Sammy, they know your name because you come in and you get the chilaquiles all the time. They're like, "Hey, Sammy, come on in, man. You got your table right here." And then they say, they know your wife's name. "Come on in. How you doing?" They talk to you. Oh, this is nice. They know me. They know, they know what I like to order. They hook it up. Food comes out right away. Um, and you get your chilaquiles and they're cold, or they don't taste as good as they used to. Let's just for example, and you tell them, and they try to, they do their best to make it better. But at the end of the day, you're like, "Oh, food was okay." But and then after, they bring you out. "Hey, Sammy, we heard you didn't like the food this time. Chef said, dessert on the house.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time we could do it better." And then and they remember something you said last time and said you had I don't know, tickets to a concert, and they say, "How was that concert, by the way?" And they just have that engagement, and they know you like a friend or like a family, and you're like, I feel like you could turn someone's bad experience with the food around just with the service. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you leave, you're like, yeah, the food wasn't good, but oh man, it's amazing. They have such a good team, good, nice people, and that's our goal, anyways.
Yeah, like as a
So
business owner, if I had a restaurant, I think the main two things would be location and service. But I'm speaking on personally
per
me.
se, I don't blame you.
I go for the food.
Yeah, me too. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
like to eat
I'm
too.
like I don't care how this place looks. I'm going for the food, man.
Yeah.
But I know as like a business owner, I know sometimes people, because I've seen places, bro, that the food can be all right, but the service is phenomenal. It's freaking dope. And
Yeah.
the location is nice. You're probably like right next to the beach.
Yep.
And like location, like
Yeah.
it's like they're probably playing live music or something, and then they like the vibes. It's good vibes. And the food is all right, but I could probably cook this at home, but I mean, I have a guy playing the piano right here in front of me. So, but I'm
No,
just,
I got you.
yeah, I know everybody probably thinks different in that aspect.
Yeah. Everyone's different for sure.
Now, I'm pretty sure you've had ups and downs. Did you ever think of quitting?
No.
Like, were you ever at a level where your stress was like,
Oh, 100%.
yeah, and then you're like, I'm gonna throw the towel?
I don't even know.
I don't even know stress, bro. You're like, what does that mean?
Yeah. No, honestly, I don't understand what throwing the towel in or quitting.
Like where you just say like, hey, you know what, Ruben? You know what, Danny? You know what, Javier? You know what, Pops? You guys can continue, but I've had it with the stress. Like I've had it with, you guys can take over. I'm out of it. You get me out of this.
Yeah.
Like a moment like that where you just like, you have lawsuits, you owe money, you can't pay, sales are down, like revenue's down, everything's down. Like,
Yeah. Luckily and gratefully, no. I stress has been high even today. Things pop up and you get unexpected things that come up and you got to deal with it. But no, I think even if it gets to the point where you want to quote unquote quit, it's just more of it's not necessarily what I would consider quitting. It's more like a strategic decision to liquidate or do something to move on to the next thing, Like,
yeah.
I guess you could call it quitting. Like, all right, we got to shut down the restaurant because we got to move things around and do another thing. Like, you just got to keep going.
Have any of your like, your close partners, managers, have they ever thought of quitting?
Not that I know. No, I think you're all.
Man, you guys are in like a really good structure.
Well, when
you know?
you see everybody working hard,
Yeah.
like, everyone's like, next, let's go next.
Because there always has to be that one guy that calms everybody's like, that don't worry, you guys, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know, in tough times, they're like, we're gonna get through this. You guys don't worry. You know, stop tripping. There always has to be that one dude.
I think we
That
take turns. Sometimes I'm
really.
like, let's it's done, forget it. And then other times I'll be that guy. Yeah, I think we all like. That's why I'm so happy we got the team that we have, and we support each other. Someone's may be on the
Yeah.
low, and then the other one's like, hey, we got this. Come on, let's do it. And that goes for you too, man. I know we've had calls, and we talk about business, and sometimes we kind of like share our ideas and talk. And so I appreciate the conversations I have with you too.
Yeah, yeah,
It helps
awesome,
out. Yeah.
awesome. And overall, would you say it's overall would you say it's you like having a restaurant? Like you would say it's a you like overall I would do it again. Like overall I would start it again. Like overall.
Yeah, I would. I'm a big people person, so and I think all of my partners are too. So we like the interactions and talking to people, whether it's our staff or new customers. It's
What would you say it's the best? What would you say is the best part of having a restaurant?
personally.
Apart from probably making the money, you know, and making money.
I mean, if there's money, sometimes.
Yeah, that's obviously the best part. You know?
Yeah. Honestly, man, life gets busy. I'm sure you grew up with a lot of people from school or from places and work, and life gets busy and you don't get to see them all the time. The best thing about my work is I work with my best friends. I work with my dad. So it's just like another excuse to see everybody and talk to everybody on the phone every day, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, how often do you get to do the daily grind with people that you love? So
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't appreciate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's the worst part of having a restaurant?
Same answer. They get on my damn nerves sometimes. No. Worst part, working in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
What's the worst part? I would say, I think it would be just like the. Oh, that's a good one, man. What's the worst part of working in the restaurant?
Man, that means it's pretty good then.
No, there's just so many. I don't know which one to pick. I think maybe just it is a risky business. Like we talked about like how low the margins are, or like how low they can be, and it's something that changes. Like what's something like look at IHOP. IHOP has been around forever. Denny's, they've been super successful, but look, they're shutting down. They're shutting down now.
But I think what has to do with those restaurants is that they're not like, innovating. They're not.
That's true.
They're keeping. Now I know some people think, well, if it made a hit, keep it how it is. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that doesn't. And if it's not working, you gotta.
A good example is In-N-Out. In-N-Out hasn't changed, and they're killing it.
They're killing it, bro. They're my go-to food, man.
Yeah,
In-N-Out. I love In-N-Out, dude.
Yeah,
In-N-Out's awesome.
They haven't changed, and they're doing amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like just it's always on the back of my mind that restaurants are it's a risky business. So
So you want to say that probably the worst part is probably perhaps dealing with bad customers or, stuff like that. Maybe.
it's a small percentage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're always gonna have people that you can't satisfy. Look at pizza, for example. Some people like their New York thin crust. Some people like the thick. Some people like a lot of cheese. Some people like. You're never going to make someone happy. It's just the way it is.
Now, what would 3 tips that you'll give to somebody that 3 of your best advice, 3 of your best tips that you'll give someone trying to start a restaurant?
Start a restaurant?
Yeah.
Look for a good deal. I know it sounds like obvious, but
Yeah.
Like you said, people want the brand new, the best of everything. You don't need that. Like, learn the business, be confident, build your skills, learn it first, And then when you feel like you got it or you have enough experience, then maybe you could take it to the next level after that. So go, don't spend a lot of money. Try to go as low as possible. Um, I'm a big advocate for um, self education. Always keep learning. You know, learn from your friends, family, online. Dude, there's so many tools now. You know, to
Yeah.
learn from. You know, whether it's YouTube or ChatGPT. I just used it right now before we did this podcast. But I'll always be learning. So that's one, two, three would be um, just be okay with failing. Like failing
Wow.
is part of the process. Like if you
Yeah.
fail, take a minute to reflect and say, what I learned from this. What am I going to do next time that's going to be different? What's going to be better?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. I think that's the best one that a lot of people are scared of failing, you know? And then once they do, they just like, that wasn't for me. I'm out of it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
But I mean, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know how many times it's going to take you to try to really succeed.
and we're just talking about the businesses that I've been successful with. We haven't talked about any of the ones that failed because no,
Oh,
no one wants
we
to
got to
hear
get to those
that.
right now, man.
Yeah, those. I've done a lot of things, and this now and finally, doing a little
Because
better.
you're a mortgage lender, right?
I am.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do loans. I do home loans. I mentioned earlier, having that fear of being in the restaurant industry where anything could change, and so I like to. My idea is just learn and do something different that's in a different industry, so that way you kind of like have another security in case one goes down. At least you have something else.
So is like the restaurant business like a hands off, like or hands free kind of business that you did you get it to that level where you can be a mortgage lender and also be a restaurant owner, or
Uh,
like are you just like a crazy alcoholic worker? I mean workaholic.
Wait, how'd you know?
I saw your Modelo there.
um,
Are you some kind of crazy workaholic?
no, I mean I do work a lot, but luckily because of and gratefully because of my team, they're there right now. Boots on the floor at the restaurants, and I'm more of the back end admin. A lot of the
Making sure
accounting.
things are
Yeah, so I do a lot of that where it allows me to not be at the restaurant, and it also allows me to do the mortgage. So,
last one. What was your biggest obstacle to really try to that you think you got once you passed that obstacle, you were like, I don't care what comes ahead, I'm gonna succeed.
um, I
Like this could have been like, um, a girl told me to, either pick me or pick your business, or could have been a health issue. It could have been, something mentally that you went through. I don't know, you know.
yeah, it's a good question. Biggest obstacle. I
And
think
this could be outside of the business. Like
yeah,
there's like the biggest obstacle that I overcame. That you said I overcame this when my da da da. You know.
yeah. I would say when I first started, Sammy, I try my best. I mentioned like I like to learn. I like to learn about new things. But one of the things I felt like I took a while to try to learn was being financially literate.
Oh,
Once I kind of had learned and became a little bit better in knowing um, how to do financial statements and really understanding them. Like your profit and loss, your balance sheet, accounting, and how it's all related with your taxes. I still don't know a lot, but I've gotten to a point where I'm comfortable in doing it now, and it helps out a lot when you're doing certain types of applications, like whether you're applying for a loan or talking to someone, like it really helps you out. So I feel like that was a big moment for me once I learned that more or less, and it's still a learning process. Yeah, that really helped out. So I guess that's another tip. Like if you learn that, and again, so many tools out there to learn, that's very helpful for any type of business that you go into.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming by.
Hey, I wish you all the success. I hope this blows up. 10
Yeah.
million views, and then I get how much?
And then you get 100,000, man. But yeah, man, thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming to the show, and see you guys on the next one.
Thank you, brother.